Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Movie Screeners Club podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Falk. The Movie Screeners Club is brought to you by Designing Hollywood Productions in association with Gardena Cinema. If you want to win the chance to have your short film screened in a huge cinema and the opportunity to be interviewed on our podcast, please submit your short film today to moviescreenersclub@gmail.com.
Hey, so I'm Alex Schulman. Right next to me is my friend Max Levine, and
Hello.
we are the writers and directors of the short film When Jacob Jinkers Came to Town.
This is true.
It's a family movie. It's a wholesome story. We think about peer pressure, and we made it. In all seriousness, we made it as a reflection of all these weird and wonderful family movies we saw as kids that just had like the strangest messages, usually about peer pressure.
I was just gonna say, I think a lot of it also comes from just like bad movies that your parents rent for you as kids. I had two younger brothers, and so we, for whatever reason, were just constantly given bottom of the barrel movies like Quigley and I don't know,
Yeah.
stuff like the Buttercream Gang, and we tried to convey some of that, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that you would see at grandma's house.
Yeah. Is it a parody on movies like that, or is it your take at a movie like that?
No, it's parody. Yeah.
Parody, full on.
But I think also a parody can still be a take too. Honestly, like we made it as a parody, but we also believe in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's important to us, the journey of these characters.
Totally. So you co-wrote and co-directed. What's your process like? How does that work? How do you divvy up who does what?
That's a great question. We for our writing process, Max and I just kind of hit the pavement immediately, and we just like we essentially just shout at each other until the best idea wins, and that usually a couple of drafts will come out from that, and that's what we did with this film. We wrote it back. I think like as a response. I don't know if Max had seen Powder at that point.
I had seen a little bit of Powder. I think we wrote it after. So there's this Disney movie called The Odd Life of Timothy Green.
Yeah.
I think we had watched that. And that was when we started writing. It's about a lot of it. The main motif of a lot of this is, I'd say, in the late 90s, there was a lot of movies about magical boys that bring people together. Powder, Timothy Green, Simon Birch. There's a lot of examples, and then like recently, like Midnight Special is another example of that. But we wanted to
that kind of fell under the radar. But like Max and I have had like kind of an obsession with like precocious magic characters. And it's not necessarily like it doesn't, they don't need to be kids. Like I'm trying to think, like Michael is, I like to think of Michael as a magic boy movie too. The why am I forgetting his name?
The Nora Ephron with John Travolta.
Yeah, why I forget John Travolta? He's the first one.
How could you forget?
He's an angel.
Forget Michael?
Yeah. So all these shitty 90s movies kind of bled into our obsession, and then we wrote it during the pandemic, and just Max and I were living together at the time, and then he moved to New York, and then so we timed it out right, so he would come back together and finally film this project.
Part of it was we had initially this is part of an ongoing thing called Family 4-Pack, which was supposed to be sort of like VHS, kind of like the horror anthology. It was supposed to be like that, but for family movies. And we started writing this, and I think, I don't know if it was you or me, but we were just like, it is going to take us forever to actually make a movie of this. So why don't we just make one of them? And it's the one we like the most out of the
Yeah.
4-pack. So this was what we did.
Yeah, it was an easy decision.
Yeah.
It was an easy decision to make. And then as far as kind of process goes, with direction, Max is on the technical side. I think leans technical side heavy, and I kind of focus on more on performance.
Pairing your Habs to a whole.
Yeah, I like to think so.
So you guys are single-handedly bringing back the Magic Boy genre.
That's music to my ears.
There could be others. You never know.
That's awesome. So, what is the writer's room like writing a parody movie like this? I've never done it myself, but I can only imagine with like movies like Airplane, which are like so over the top and such a parody. It had to have been fun to write in that writer's room. Are you guys just like dying laughing as you're writing, or is it kind of it's more technical? Like maybe Max brings in this like technical side, like, oh, that's funny. That's a good joke.
I think it starts technical, and then like we sort of just like know the narrative that we want to write, and then I think one of us will just say some stupid ass thing, and then we're both just like, yeah, that's gonna be it. Or
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely like a best idea wins sort of
Yeah.
scenario with that. But yeah, there's a flow to it. It can be kind of hard to verbalize, but I think it's more or less like when uh the dumbest and the best idea is the most important one, especially with like a parody like this. Like
Right.
Yeah.
Airplane's a good example of like there's no the only logic in that movie is to make you laugh. And I like to think that yeah, that's a really good thing to focus in on and to aim for, especially with parody. You want to make it so it makes sense in the universe, but also you don't want it to be so dour that as a thematic parody you want to have jokes. So
Yeah.
there's a
And
balance.
I think we might have, I think it starts as this thing that becomes a parody, and then we definitely go overboard, but in a fun way. We had a lot of ideas for how it was going to end. The post credit scene that we have was this little addition that we were not sure whether or not we wanted to put in, but I think it helps quite a bit.
Stay
But yeah,
post credit is what you're telling.
Yes, please, please,
stay
please
post
stay.
credits.
It's like a Marvel
Uh,
movie.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it. He's
that's
in
the new
he's in the
cinema.
MCU, the JJCU.
Yeah.
So is it hard with something like this because it's like an outrageous comedy? Is it kind of hard, have you found, that to get the cast and crew kind of like on board with the vision? Like, do people kind of push back and they're like, that's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would he do that? You know, do they give you like questions about logic? I feel like people who don't get the jokes maybe, or it goes straight over their heads, or they don't realize the irony in it. Is that kind of tough to explain to people, or is it tough to kind of hear that backlash and be like, well, you just don't get it? You know, what is that like?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's definitely. I don't think it's tough making it. We're really blessed that our friends are just as freaky and nuts as us. That they're like no one questioned it on set. Any of the logic. We are all game for it. But yeah, I think kind of as you continue to make this product and it becomes fully formed, it begins to people will criticize it in the same ways that like any media gets criticized. And yeah, with the pushback, it's like I think that's just something you got to accept, because not every
Yeah.
jokes are like never going to be for every single human being. We just think it's important just to carve out the section of people that like our joke. That I think we did it.
I think you also have to be confident in the stuff you do. I won't get into specifics, but we definitely had some pushback on an audience cut we did, and there are just some people who are like, these jokes are not going to work. And I think we were very certain that we were like, no, these are going to work. We are certain that they're going to work. And then, I haven't seen it before an audience yet. Alex has, and I heard a recording of it, and they for sure worked. So you
Yeah.
just got to be confident that some of the jokes, sometimes it's hard to be confident in it when you're looking at it for a long time, but
And,
they'll work.
and even when it doesn't work, like if it still makes, if it still makes us laugh, and it still makes me laugh sometimes. So I think that's a testament of it. Not to
even after seeing it a million times, do you still hear a joke and you go, "That's a good joke. Glad we wrote that."
Well, it helps to have because like you can get kind of numb to it. I mean, Max and I are definitely familiar with that. Just getting numb to it, watching it a million times, but like watching it again with an audience is like super refreshing. So we're very excited. We're very excited to see it on the big screen here.
So you've watched it in front of an audience before. Have there been any moments where you were expecting a huge laugh and they didn't laugh, or you were expecting no laugh because it wasn't particularly a joke, so to speak, and people laughed and you weren't, and it was kind of like off-putting a little?
No, honestly, I hope this isn't considered a bad answer, but like I have no expectations on anything.
Really?
I'm just gonna be like completely like, all right, go whatever. Because like people, I think the reception has been as it's been interesting with what's been making people laugh, but I didn't have any expectations on what did and what didn't. Yeah, sorry. Mac, I don't know if Max can answer that.
I knew there were some things. Well, I mean, I have seen it, but I have not seen it in front of an audience. But there are some things I am certain will play well. I think it's you just know that it will play well, and then there are some things that you think will play well, and then you get sort of a tepid thing. But also it varies like audience by audience, so you never really know. But I think there are some things where it's like I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but we have a specific scene in the lighthouse, which is like pretty much the crux of the movie, where it's like you just know that you're gonna get laughs from it. So that's a nice thing. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I have one more question before I let you guys go. Why should people come see When Jacob Jinkers Came to Town at Gardena Cinema on the 15th?
Oh, it's a really easy question to answer. They should see it because it's gonna instill joy and values in your life. I think we in the digital age, we kind of forget, we're all on our phones, we're looking at screens, we kind of forget about the family connections and friendships that can be forged in unconventional ways. And that's going to happen when you watch this film.
I was also going to say values. So thank you for bringing up values.
Values.
In reality, though, I do think there is some gold in these mines. I think that we have touched upon something that I can easily say, as you will probably not see in another short film or many other pieces of media. And I think that alone is a reason to check out our extremely stupid, very fun, and very funny short that we put a lot of time into.
Perfect. Well, come to Gardena Cinema August 15th to come see When Jacob Jinkers Came to Town. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much.
It was so great meeting you.
Thank you.
On the 15th.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I'll see you then.
The Movie Screeners Club is produced by Designing Hollywood Productions in association with Gardena Cinema. If you want to win the chance to have your short film screened in a huge cinema and the opportunity to be interviewed on our podcast, please submit your short film today to moviescreenersclub@gmail.com. This episode was sponsored by Smoke Break Productions, addictively entertaining.